All right, the game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins just ended seconds ago in a 16-10 loss for Pittsburgh. And while I don't want to say it should have been a win, because Pittsburgh shot themselves in the foot 6 to 7 times tonight, but we probably really could have won this game. There were 4 dropped interceptions by our defensive backs. I may even tweet it, lock your defensive backs in the facility until they learn how to catch the football. We could have really won this game quite easily if they got even half of those. So, I shouldn't say quite easily. I really frankly shouldn't say that because we did get, I'll say, lucky to some extent with some of the decisions Miami made, going for it and fourth down when they could have taken points, or our defense bending and not breaking, ultimately holding the field goal. So there were some bounces of the football that went our way. But dropping 4 interceptions, and then Kenny Pickett making 2 of the worst throws I've seen this weekend. Just drive killers on really nice drives too. Late in the fourth quarter, the first drive, Pittsburgh got the ball with about, we'll say, 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they took 5 minutes off the clock, drove down to about 3 minutes left, and Kenny Pickett throws an interception to Javon Holland, where Javon Holland is breaking on that ball. More veteran, experienced quarterback probably sees that. You can blame it on youth. I probably agree with you on that situation. The second interception is the one that really, really is tough to explain away. As Kenny Pickett rolls out, and instead of making the smart play and scrambling, because frankly he's got a bunch of yards in front of him, a bunch of open grass. There's a defensive player out there, but the defensive player is concerned with his coverage assignment, so he kind of has his back to Pickett. So if Kenny runs, he picks up probably a good, I'd say 7 to 8 yards, and then he can probably get out of bounds still. Instead, he decides to throw the ball, and that goes right to, who was it? Igbenogany, the former first-round pick that Dolphins fans have ragged on consistently for his first couple of years in the NFL, so when he actually ends up intercepting the pass. The ball was a great catch by Igbenogany, don't get me wrong. It was a great catch to keep both feet in bounds. The ball was thrown directly to him. It never had a shot at going to the intended receiver, Deontay Johnson. You can't pick it, like I said, just 2. The first one I can understand. It's just a poor read, a poor in-play read. The second one is just, god-awful. It's terrible. It's horrendous. And, I have to give Pickett credit because I'm tempted to just be completely negative about him after those 2 plays. But he had 2 really nice drives. Those were really good drives from the 8-minute mark to the 3-minute mark. And then from about the 2-minute mark, 2:30, from about 2 minutes, 30 seconds to the interception, about 30 seconds left in the game. Those were really good drives. It was really impressive. We had not moved the ball with that rhythm all night. And it was 2 really nice drives. So I have to give Kenny Pickett credit for that. That was a positive from this game. I think some of the things we saw from Najee Harris were positive this game. The Dolphins line still cannot run block to save their lives. But I think we saw Najee Harris have a little bit more of the energy, of the ability to keep his balance and break tackles. And we saw him even make some guys miss some more fleet-footedness in the open field. He looked probably the best he's looked all season in this game. So I have to give a shout out to Najee Harris for that. George Pickens didn't do much in the second half. I think he only had 2 catches in the second half. In the first half, he had close to 50 receiving yards on 4 catches, and more than doubled anyone else in Pittsburgh's receiving room in terms of yards. So I think Pickens flashed again, which is something you always like to see. 6 catches on 6 targets according to ESPN. So we have to be really happy with his development. Pat Freiermuth, 8 catches on 9 targets for 75 yards. Really only had 19 yards in the first half was the total. But then he gets really involved late in the game because he's your security blanket. They use him over the middle. Becomes a really important player for them down the stretch. I would still like to see Deontay Johnson do more. Only 5 catches on 10 targets for 42 yards. You still have to get him more involved, man. You did give him a contract extension over the summer. We saw what he did last year. This dude has to be the guy for your franchise. I understand Pickens can be that guy eventually, but right now he's just not. You need Deontay Johnson to be the guy now. So I'm kind of surprised that Johnson has not been more involved in the offense, or they have not made a more concerted effort to get Johnson involved in the offense, is what I should say. What else do I want to add? I am upset. I'm upset right now because it's frustrating, man, because we could have won the game. But at the same time, there were a lot of positives to take away from it. So let's try to be a little positive here and because the two disappointments are obviously the 4 dropped interceptions and Kenny Pickett's play in the fourth quarter. Those 2 interceptions. But other than that, when you wipe out those 2 interceptions and you just focus on the rest of the drives. They were good drives. The defense was making plays on the football all night. Just couldn't come down with the interceptions. But a lot of broken up passes. I know that Hill and Waller were running free in the secondary for what felt like most of the first half, but overall, neither of them really popped off. Tyreek Hill had 7 catches for 72 yards. Jalen Waller had 4 catches for 88 yards. Those are decent numbers, but they're not what they were doing against Baltimore, when they were both getting like 200 yards. It was not that kind of game. They, for the most part, contained Tua Tagovailoa. They contained Waddle, and they contained Hill for the most part. The defense actually played really well, and the run defense was not really there tonight. They had some really good runs, specifically in the first half, but in the second half, the run defense played a lot better. And defense as a whole really improved from the first half to the second half, in my opinion. And came up with some big stops down the line. Shout out, I think Maulet had a few plays. I know Maulet wasn't great tonight. He got beaten coverage a few times, but I thought he had some decent plays. Cameron Hayward had a few splash plays. Minka Fitzpatrick as well. Terrell Edmonds had 3 or 4 of them. I think Terrell Edmonds gets a lot of crap from Steelers fans, but he actually had a couple good games in a row here. I think Larry Ogunjobi had one big play or two. There's just a lot of positives from this game that just stinks, man. The offense has been such a drag to watch this entire season, and for a couple of years now at this point. But if Kenny Pickett can just, get to the point where he's developed enough and experienced enough to not make those awful decisions that basically kill your game, kill your chance to win the game. If he can just develop to that point, we probably could get 20-something points tonight if he gets to that point. But overall, like I said, turnovers were the game changer. No turnovers for Miami, 3 for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh probably could have forced 4 turnovers if they just caught everything. We won the time possession battle 33 minutes to 26 minutes, or almost 27 minutes for Miami. We had more first downs, 19-17. And we only had 31 fewer yards than Miami. We had 341. They had 372. So overall, it was a fairly evenly matched game. It's just that the Dolphins caught the interceptions and we didn't. So that was ultimately what decided the game. But yeah, some positives, takeaways from this game. Probably could have won. Probably should have won if we had played a cleaner game, but nothing much we can do about that.